to safeguard the public interests which are incorporated here. So both codes will apply. If it is a public interest and public sector entity and a listed entity, then both codes, the additional requirements, number of requirements is similar, so it won't make any difference. But there are additional requirements like the board members who are, ex officio directors. There are certain clarifications relating to that. Appointment of the CEO, although it is provided in the company's ordinance also, but it is reiterated. Like in the case of some of the SOEs, we know public sector entities listed where the CEO is not appointed by the board. In the case of PSO, in the case of OGDC, the CEO is appointed by the government, by the Prime Minister. So those provisions, it will be in the interest of those companies that those provisions should apply.
This is Farid Alam. I understand that in India, the proportion of the public sector entities as a percentage of total market capitalization is highest in the world. We also have listed companies, the ones which are very profitable, and we also have, it may be a coincidence that a lot of the public sector enterprises that we find not corporatized are in huge losses. So is there any empirical evidence that this the SOEs which are listed have done better in other parts of the world?
I think clearly my hunch is that listed companies, just because they are under better oversight than the state-owned, would clearly have the innate ability to be able to perform better under the pressure of the market. Having stated that, I think there are cases of unlisted companies that are also performing well. This has got to do eventually with political commitment also in different regimes. By the way, I haven't actually looked at a study that proves the point that you're making, but it's an interesting question, and I was thinking that I'll read up that, and maybe we can have more debate on this. But let me make another point. What struck me is about the Middle East and North Africa region, which is an evidence which has just come recently, that companies that were not even following corporate governance, actually some of them, and particularly some holding companies, performance has been very good. That is why I was talking about all the time political commitment and the overall governance. Now, I'm not saying Middle East and North Africa is a model of governance by any stretch of imagination, but when you make a determination that this is what we want to achieve, then even within the constraints, you can achieve that. But the bottom line is that that particular company will be insulated from extraneous pressures and would be allowed to perform its functions, the designated objectives and functions. So I think the overwhelming evidence that comes out is sometimes companies can operate very efficiently and have effective profitability, provided the atmosphere is conducive surrounding it and there is a commitment to it, listed or unlisted. That would be my overwhelming response to this type of question. Having stated that, I would believe that the listed companies would. By the way, on the Pakistan case, I appreciate the positive sentiments that we need to reflect in this context about the profitable listed companies, SOEs companies. My own take is that if you actually improve the environment and commitment surrounding these listed SOEs, you would actually find that they will be much more profitable than what they are today. And I say that from my experience because institutions, financial institutions that are today under public sector, they are performing below their potential and capacities because of weaker governance and requirements of the government on them.
Example, sort, National Bank of Pakistan. I mean, when it was listed at that time, it was difficult to sell at 20 rupees, you know. Now it has given so much bonus and shares, etc. And it's, even this situation, it is around 40, 50 rupees. And people have become millionaires who were shareholders of National Bank. So similarly, Allied Bank was, again, these are very good examples of privatization also. Habib Bank, MCB, UBL, PTCL, OGDC, all of these are case studies, you know, that when these entities were privatized or when they were listed, you know, their governance became better and they performed very well and they've done very well for their investors.
Second last question from here.
Yeah, my name is Qamar Zaidi. I'm a textile engineer, and now a trainer. I don't know, my question might be directed to Shah Saab or Dr. Saab. You have not touched upon the role of professional bodies might play in good governance. There is an angle of view that these, I think there is a Professional Bodies Act in place already in the Parliament, and there are many professional bodies governing different professions to look at it at the professional point of view. So there is a role possible for these professional bodies to play. In our countries, you know, there are many professions covered, but there are still a lot of professions, like textile itself. There is no textile council. There is engineering council, there is bar council, there is chartered accountants platform, but there is no textile council yet, and Optima has never allowed it to be created. So, role of professional bodies in governance. Can you please throw a light on that?
I think that's an excellent question, and I can tell you that from my watching of C-SPAN in United States, it is fascinating to see how the government as well as the legislature calls on professionals and professional bodies for hearings, and also how it feeds systematically the think tanks thinking into the policy making process. I think there is a big gap in Pakistan on that across the board. And I don't mean it just in United States, it's just that C-SPAN used to display this publicly, and this is a public channel and it's free of any cost. I'm sure it's subsidized, but it is fascinating how it results in influencing the legislature, which in my view, legislature is very important because even the ministers are selected from there. So if you influence the legislature proactively through the professional bodies' involvement and advocacy, it would over time definitely make a difference, provided they are willing to listen and engage.
Just like to say this, that I totally agree with you that there is a need for professional bodies in all professions, as they play very, very critical role in creating awareness and advocacy. Like in our profile, in the case of chartered accountants, for instance, the corporate governance code, original code, was developed by a committee of the chartered accountants, past presidents in 2000, which was then adopted by CCP. Yes, I think textile council or the chambers and all